I remember, man. I remember when Twitter had first came out, and at the time, it was popular, but it wasn't as popular yet. So people were just kind of getting used to it. And I remember there was like artists on there that was like giving out their emails here and there, and just like, hey, send me beats or whatever, and I'll check them out. And this was the time when the mixtape era was really hot. You had like the DJ Ill Will and the Rockstar mixtapes and, Don Cannon and Gangsta Grills and all that. So I remember I was working with a guy by the name of Rockstar, right? Which now is Kid Ink. So back then, Rockstar, / Kid Ink, he was like friends with Young Berg at the time. And I had never met Young Berg, but I remember Young Berg had a Twitter account, and he had gave out his email on the Twitter account. And, I saw it, I was like, hey, he's looking for beats or whatever. So I'm like, why not? Let me just take a shot. So I sent him a beat pack, and he hit me back, and he was like, hey man, I like a couple of these joints. I might use one for my my mixtape series called Twitter Music. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So, I didn't hear from him for a while. And then out of the blue one day, I saw he had dropped a mixtape, and then one of the tracks was on there that I did. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. So I think I think it was hosted by Ill Will, actually. I think Ill Will and Rockstar hosted that project. But it was so cool because, I was a fan of the mixtape series. So I'm like, oh, shoot, you got the drop in there and all that. It was kind of dope. So, when that came out, it kind of like, it started, some buzz, for me speaking, it started some buzz for me, because at the time he had a hit record. I think he had the Sexy Lady record with Ray J, and then he had the Business record. That was a big record for him. So, he had some momentum going. So, that was kind of like a start. And then, after that, I just started just sending out stuff, just whoever I could send it, I just started sending it out. And I remember, as the years went on, I would have different label meetings, and they would tell me, okay, this is the artist list that we have for, who we need records for, full records or hooks or whatever. And, I would just start submitting. And then one day I was in some studio in Atlanta, and there was a guy in there. His name was Pooh Bear. He's a songwriter and a producer. And at the time, he still works with Justin Bieber, but he was working with him really, really heavy at the time. And I was like, hey, man, I'm a writer, I'm a producer. I would love to, collaborate on stuff and see if we can get a placement or something. I was like, hey, I would love to do something with Justin. And, long story short, those situations ended up me being able to work on the Purpose album. So that was really, really dope. And, just after that, I just kept going. I had done a record with Sarah Stokes from Making the Band, a record called Sneak Peek that did really, really well. Once that record came out, I was featured on a BET show called From the Bottom Up, which we actually showed the making of that song, that we did together. So that was pretty cool, man. It just kept going from there. This is a funny true story. So I remember this was last year, September, top of September. And I remember I had to take a trip to Italy in September. And, I went out there and, I was moving around quite a lot. So the first stop was Rome. So I went to Rome. After Rome, went to Venice. And then it was some other spot that I went to. So in Rome, I'm just kind of like, I'm riding in the cab, and, I'm just going to my hotel, getting off the plane. And I'm like, I'm thinking about my next project, right? And what would be the follow-up from Blu Leisure, and what would be the significance of it? What would be the meaning of it? What would what would be different from Blu Leisure? Not veering off from what people have known already from that project, but what would just be enhancement? So, I'm just kind of in my mind, I'm going over different ideas, and I'm just like looking at all the Roman buildings, and I'm just trying to, just get different ideas. And I'm like, well, I don't want to call it anything generic, and I don't want to call it anything that doesn't like resonate with me. So I'm like, Kaleidoscopes, because now I'm at a point to where I gave people 7 songs, right, off that body of work, which I think in that body of work, it kind of exuded a lot of feelings that I had, with the point of life that I was in right then, just in a short form, but I really got a lot off, I think. And I'm like, okay, some of those views are still the same, but I've experienced a lot more since then, and I've done a lot more, so I got more to talk about. But the Kaleidoscopes theme is just more of a metaphorical way to get people to know me more and understand me more as a person, as a businessman, as an artist. So it's more so just looking at me in a different perspective, a different lens, And Kaleidoscopes can mean it can when you look at it, it's different things all over the place. Like it's different ways of looking at things, and that's how I wanted this project to be perceived and looked at. So, when it came to the process of actually, making the records, I'm like, well, I'm not going to go into it to where like, okay, I need a club record, I need a ballad, I need this, I need that. Like, it was really just all stuff I just felt, like for example, like what I Want to Know, which is the intro, literally like it's a short record, but even in those small amount of words, to me, they were powerful because it really meant something to me when I was writing that intro in Italy. Like I was literally in my hotel room writing that intro. And I'm like, it was more than just the words. It's like I wanted the sound and the sonic to be so different. And like, I wouldn't say futuristic, but just something to where like, it's not normal. Kind of like I always compare like, a lot of things to The Weeknd, because with The Weeknd, he's very eclectic. He's very dark. He's very melodic, and he inspired. I can always say he definitely helped inspire Blu Leisure for sure, because I call Blu Leisure dark R&B.